A man whose parents had a 0% interest rate. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get it on. Took me a minute to get that one. No choice but to get it on. All right, Tyrus from Gutfeld and beyond is going to join us. Funnier guy than I think people think because he's a big pro wrestler and everything, but always good to talk to him. That's coming up. Speaking of parents, I just had a conversation with Dr. Drew. Expat is here. He's going to be doing some news.
Hey.
We got some tweets, some more Oscar jokes to get to. I was just talking to Dr. Drew, who's seeing patients today, and he was lamenting that he just can't see as many as he used to, and hates getting old, essentially. And I was saying, well, this is where it's going. I feel the same way. A lot of stuff I used to do, I don't do it. Or, if you grew up on sports and all you did was sports and then all of a sudden not so much sports, then there's something to feel. But I was explaining, as I've said before, after visiting my 93-year-old dad, I said, the Carollas don't experience this drop-off because they never had a game to go to or to play in the first place. My dad liked sitting and reading and going for walks. My dad liked the stuff elderly people do when he was 37. So now he's 93 and he's basically doing what he did in 1979.
He doesn't know what he's missing out on.
Well, he's missed it, whatever he didn't know. But like Drew was, athletic. All the athletic guys are like, oh, my shoulders hurt now, and I can't play squash anymore, or I can't water ski, or I can't, see as many patients, do as much as I used to do, kind of thing. And I thought there's a certain diabolical strategy to the Carollas, which is they hung out. And then they got old and they hung out. But their game did not fall off because there was no game. So they're just kind of chillaxing. And I really don't think my dad's life between 40 and like his mid-80s changed in terms of even what he ate. You know what I mean? Like, some guys, they like to go out and have a big brisket and have a few martinis, and maybe you're 88 and you can't do that anymore or whatever it is. He ate cottage cheese when he was 40 with raisins in it and never cracked a beer. So he's doing what he's doing. So there really wasn't a drop-off. Or some people like to travel a lot or do whatever that is. And you just can't do it when you're in your mid-80s.
Do you think he's unhappy, or he was unhappy, or just...
No,
So maybe that's the way to live then?
Sometimes you look at your dog and you go, look at you eating that fucking kibble every single day, 2 times a day, same goddamn kibble. And then you go, Jesus Christ, and I'm going to eat pork chops tonight. And then you think, I feel sorry for you. And then you think, oh no, you don't know it. You don't know any
better.
You're enjoying your kibble same as you did the day before. And so I think there's a strong element of that with the human beings, although it's counterintuitive to us because we're like, don't you want to go to Maui? Don't you want to get really whipped up about the Super Bowl and who's in it? Don't you want to love and lose or stare danger in the face or any of that? But no, I think my family was always fear-based. That was their thing. They're based everything on fear. And then I had a aversion to that. And then I got a thing that would be the opposite of fear-based, which probably, has its downsides. But I would always just go, let's try it. Let's do it. Who cares? I didn't, all through COVID, I had zero fear of COVID, zero fear as it pertained to me, zero fear as it pertained to kids. My kids, I didn't have any thoughts about it. And that's an unnatural state. I turned out to be correct, but it's still an unnatural state to just go, I don't care. I have no thoughts about this.
I could see your mom being fear-based, but your dad, is he afraid of anything? It just seems like he just exists.
He has told me that he was very fearful. Okay. Not fearful of an invasion on the southern border or terrorist attacks or anything like that, but just sort of went to school scared, went to sort of just in a state of fear, but not anxiety. I guess a lot of people who are in fear have anxiety. He didn't have anxiety. He just had a general sort of fear, which people don't, we talk about safety way too much. We've overdone it on safety. We put too much of an emphasis on safety. Safety fucks people's lives up. We fucked people's lives up with safety. California sort of fucked up because of safety, like too many rules, too many regulations, too much safety-oriented this. There's, every time you pump your gas, you got to read a warning label about cancer. It's like that does take its toll. It does fuck people's minds up. And then you get people who dive into the safety and get eroded by it and sort of their brain picked apart by it. And then there are other people who go, fuck safety, and they go too hard the other direction, which I always kind of did.
Yeah, no, it's happened. Like I'm a big fan of the air fryer. I don't know if you messed with it. Oh,
yeah.
Love the air fryer. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it to a friend the other day, and she said, air fryers are totally bad for you. They emit some crazy energy, even when they're not being used and they're just plugged in. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, we're going to start seeing studies about that, which bums me out. Because I'm a huge proponent of the air fryer. So it's just, everything is bad for you.
Listen,
it's not.
Nothing is bad for you. That's one of the things. Like, I just got a massage. If you ever talk to a woman about a massage, it's like, okay, when you're done, you got to hydrate. You got to hydrate. You got to drink a lot. And I go, I just been laying here. I've never done less for an hour. Then, if you go out and mow the lawn, maybe you work up a little sweat or something. I burn more calories sitting on a sofa watching TV than just laying face down on this table being kneaded by you. I'm doing nothing. So then I go, I don't get the part where you have to hydrate so hard. And then they go, well, because when we massage you, we release the toxins.
Yep. You can't feel it?
No, there's no toxins. No, but so they massage, they release the toxins, and now you got to hydrate. And women are always at the tip of the spear of this shit. And there's an article every 10 seconds of every waking moment that is just there about air fryers or toxins or murder hornets or whatever it is. We're festooned with those. That's all we do is swim in a sea of that. And what it leads to is basically during COVID, people wearing gloves at the supermarket to push. We knew this thing was airborne and not transferred via touch or from objects or takeout food boxes or delivery boxes. And we didn't care. We just steamrolled down that lane, Lysoling everything that came into the house, taking your shoes off. Think about it. Take your shoes off. COVID. Just think about this for a second. We're in the modern era. We're not talking about a plague from 1721. We're just talking about modern era, 2021, and people going, take your shoes off before you come back into the house because COVID may have landed on your Vans, and then somehow that's gonna touch my eyeball or some mucous membrane or frenulum. I don't know what. This is bad. It's not good. It's not good. And then what everyone else does is they go, well, what's wrong with it? So what? So you're just being cautious. Why does it matter? And what I used to say all the time when I was building, all the time, is you'd go, all right, what are we doing here? We're building a shear wall. Okay, what's the footing have to be? 24 by 24 by 24, 24 wide, 24 deep. Okay, what size rebar are we going to put in there? Number 4, 1/2 inch. Okay. And then at some point they'd go, you know what? We're going to go 36 by 36 on the footing. And instead of number 4 rebar, 1/2 inch, we're going to use number 6, 3/4. And then I'd go, why? That's overkill. We're not building Hitler's bunker here. Who the fuck cares? And then they would go, safety. And then someone would go, well, what's wrong with safety? Go, what's wrong? It's going to take an extra 3 yards of concrete. That number 6 rebar is harder to bend than number 4. Number 4 is already overkill. 24 by 24 is already overkill. And we're just going bigger. And they just keep going bigger with safety. So if you build, and then like in LA, and then you go, 5 years goes by and you go, all right, we're going to build again. So what do we need? A pad here that's 24 by 24 by 16. They go, oh no, it's 36 by 36 by 24. And you go, why? And they go, because we're getting safer.
Right.
But my point is if your car weighs 4,000 pounds, then you need a hoist that is good for 6,000 pounds. But you don't need a hoist that's good for 12,000 pounds. And if you do, it's just more expensive, heavier, harder, and overkill. You don't need it. If you got an A-frame ladder that's good for 300 pounds and you weigh 200 pounds, then you're covered. You don't need it to go up to 800 pounds. And everyone goes, I got an idea. Why don't we say that ladders go to 1,000 pounds? And you go, because it all costs more money and takes more time. And we just went through it with COVID. We just passed through this era. Nothing's free. All the shit you're doing is taking time, costing money, and safety is fucked us up. And if you really think about it, in terms of a personality, California is just my mom and my dad. Mm-hmm. And Texas is my buddy Chris's dad, Rick, who looked like, he looked like, oh God, I'll tell you, I'll think of it in a second. He'd put the motorcycles in the back of the truck. He'd go out to the desert. He'd be riding around with no helmet and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He'd pull up to me while I was like sitting at the camp, scared shitless. And when I was, 11, he'd go, "Hey, Ed, hop on." And I'd be like, "Oh, shit, boom." And I'd get on the back of this dirt bike and he'd just be going down Aguadosi Canyon, fucking full throttle, wheeling over shit. I was just like, "Oh, shit." But that's how... That's how Rick rolls.
It's changed these days. Like, so when I was, 18, 19, I used to play this game called Fugitive with my friends. We were basically, the rules are like.
Sorry, he looked like Rockford Files.
Oh, Rockford Files, right?
That was always the thing that made me laugh. He was Jim Rockford, and my dad was Angel. My dad looked.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that clip.
You've seen it. He had the sniveling little guy with the Jufro and the beard, always going. Hey, because his name is Jim Rockford, by the way. Jimmy, can you lend me a couple of dollars? I get in Dutch with some bookies. You're gonna break my legs, Jimmy. And it was always my dad was a sniveling little guy.
Your dad did look like that. Looking at a picture right now.
Jim Rockford was the big, tall, strapping dude, and I used to look at my friend Chris all the time, and I go, "Your dad's Jim Rockford, my dad's Angel. This is sad. Shit." All right, sorry. You used to play.
So Fugitive. So, we would get it up to 20, 25 players a team, right? And you'd have 2 teams. We play this at 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. And the rules were...
How old were you?
About 19, 20 maybe. So the rules were... we pick a place that's 2.5 miles away, and we go from point A to point B. The first team gets a 7-8 minute head start and just get to point B by any means necessary. Whoever can get to point B without getting tagged is a point there. And then you play it the way back, switching teams. So whichever team had the most points wins the night. That makes sense? And by any means necessary, I mean, a lot of trespassing, a lot of jumping through, backyards, all that stuff. So, so the other day, my friend, it was his birthday, and his birthday wish was we play Fugitive as late 30-somethings. Mm-hmm. And we have kids, we have all that, so we play during the day. Mm-hmm. And we freaked a lot of people out. We didn't even even without trespassing, just running through town. Like, we were sprinting. When's the last time you've sprinted outside?
Oh, man. That is, like I said, I will chalk this up with, sprinting will be up with the sexual position of 69ing. I do not know if I will do either one ever again.
You may have happily retired. Yep.
May have retired both.
So I dressed up like I was jogging. I was a jogger just because I knew I was going to freak people out. And I still did. Like, it's just weird seeing a man sprint outside, right?
Yes.
So and there was a lot of us sprinting. Freaked out people, called the cops.
Really?
Yeah. And like it felt a lot different. I mean, granted, this time it was during the day, but it was weird how freaked out everybody was by basically guys playing tag.
Yeah, well, weird safety-oriented society. That's all. That's where we're at now, which everyone looks at as progress, and so everything. So back in the day, guys would build skyscrapers with no safety harness on. They just walk along I-beams, right?
The pictures, just seeing the still pictures of that gives me anxiety.
Yes. All right. So people would say, well, then putting on a harness with a tether, that makes sense from a safety standpoint. And then statistically, I'm sure iron workers who worked on the high rises in New York City and Chicago and beyond, there are less fatalities, I'm sure, once they instituted you can't go up there without a safety harness, right? Okay, that's good. But I was just talking to some contractors back here the other day, and they're painting contractors. And I said, what do you do? And they go, drywall, paint, and this, that, and the other. And I said, and then they go, it's got to be tough to operate out here in California. And I go, oh, my God. They won't even let us use ladders anymore. We have to use a special sort of, I guess you would call it a Perry scaffolding or something, like a mini scaffolding.
Right.
And it's like they don't let people walk up ladders. And I said, well, back when I swung a hammer, we had dudes, drywallers wore stilts.
Yeah. I've seen those.
Wore like 3-foot, 2-foot stilts because the average dude is 6 foot and the average ceiling is 8 foot. And so you need 30 inches to get you and your broad knife up there, up to the ceiling. And he's like, I said, do they still do stilts? The guys do stilts? They were like, oh, no,
really?
no, outlawed. Well, I'm sure.
Or maybe by the books.
I'm sure you can use them in Texas, in Florida, but you cannot use them in California. And an inspector's definitely walking onto the job. And if he sees one of your dudes in stilts, then he's going to fine you. So putting harnesses on steel workers who do high-rise work, good, but we should have stopped. See, the point is we don't stop. We just keep rolling on so that 10 years from now, the footing that started off as 2 foot by 2 foot with number 4 in it and is now 36 by 36 with number 6 rebar in it is going to be 48 by 48 with number 10 rebar in it.
Right.
See, that's the whole point. We need to fucking stop.
You keep adding on. You're gonna fuck it up eventually.
We fucked it up in California because people go, would you like to build something in California? And they go, no, it's too fucking expensive. There's too much. The bathroom in San Francisco at $1 million plus that they were talking about. It's like, but the whole point is then the city council goes, why does it cost $1 million to build a bathroom at a public park? It's like, because you dickheads regulated the shit out of this thing, and most of it is just surveys and environmental impact reports and soil reports. We're $400,000 into this thing before we turn over the first shovel worth of dirt, you understand, and a year in.
That's a joke.
Yeah, but it's because they won't stop.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. All right. Speaking of jokes, I got some more of these Oscar jokes here. Some better than others, but better late than never.
Yeah.
So
You wrote a lot of them. I mean, how many do you think you wrote?
Geez, I don't know. I didn't feel like I wrote a lot because I got started a little late. I was a little behind the curve on it.
What was your process? I mean, did you sit down, watch all these movies with a notepad?
There's certain ones I saw. There's certain ones I made my business to see. I did not see all of them. A lot of them were jokes. Let's see. Like I'll give you some like specific examples as I go through. All right. So what happens when you accept the award on behalf of the presenters who aren't there?
Right. Usually the presenters, or I mean the award recipients who aren't there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the presenters just stay up on stage and go, oh, this person's not here. We're going to accept on their behalf.
Yes. So I wrote, if you accept on someone's behalf, you get full custody of the Oscar, but the winners get supervised visitation. Where's Kevin Costner? He can explain it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very TMZ of the story.
A little edgy.
Have you talked to Costner?
Yes. I had an exchange.
I feel like you guys can bond right now.
I know. I had an exchange with Costner Saturday, actually.
Oh, it's recent, yeah.
Yeah. I said that I just sent him a text, which is I saw Horizon. Was that his new? He's got a new like 3 or 4 part.
Oh, right.
Western, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw the trailer in the theater. And so he sent me the trailer a couple of weeks ago. He said, the trailer's done. Check it out.
Nice.
And then I said, looks good, or, looks real good, or whatever. I said something nice back to him. And then he said, thanks. And then I said, but then I saw the trailer in the theater on the big screen. So then I said, I was just sitting around Saturday and I thought, I saw the trailer on the big screen and it was pretty glorious because I wasn't watching on my phone. I was watching on a 70-foot screen.
It's a different experience.
So I just, at 10 o'clock at night on Saturday, I just went, hey, I saw your trailer on the big screen and it's really glorious, a lot better than my phone. I hope you're proud of it. And then he wrote back, thanks. It's been too long since we've hung out, and you're always the wisest guy in the room, or
way.
something.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's on my phone. I can find, but something very, very complimentary. So now I'm gonna. It is weird when somebody's like high profile gets divorced and then you hear Harvey Levin and he's like, she's in the guest house or her boyfriend's in the guest house and then he's in the main house and then there's another house that's on the property. Like I was talking to someone about it and I was like, no, he has a huge property. He has a double wide, basically nice cabin set down on the property. He can't build anything on the property because even though he's owned it for 20 years, it's California.
Yeah, as drywall guys use stilts and they're not allowed to build right now.
He cannot build anything on this huge property that goes right to the ocean up North Ventura, Oxnard area, but has a nice home nearby with a guest house. But I'm pretty sure the guest house is on that property, and then there's a big like I said, I don't know what you call it, a modular home, like something modest but nice. We stayed there, just sat down. I mean, I hope that fucking Sonny, I'm telling you, we're running around. Sonny's 8 or 9. Costner's throwing 50-yard bombs to him with an NFL football. Like Sonny's, it's like punt return.
He's too young to appreciate that. There's no way.
This ball, literally 55 yards in the air all the way across his property, and Sonny's just catching. Yeah. He's having a fucking catch with Kevin Costner. I got to bring that shit up to him. I don't know. But anyway, I wrote him a nice text. He wrote back a very flattering text, and so we'll see if there's some hang time. We'll see if we can get him back on the show for sure.
Look, either one.
Or both. All right. So jokes you
That's
do.
a good one.
Yeah. I had mixed feelings about doing it. Let's see. In the case someone accepts on your behalf, the presenter gets to keep the Oscar, and Meryl Streep has to give you one of her Oscars that she's currently using to hold down her boat cover.
Yeah, she has too many.
Yeah. Can almost hear music. Jokes for people just joining us. If you're just joining us, because the thing is they started an hour early.
Right, it was daylight savings.
And an hour early.
Right. And
so we thought a lot of people would tune in 1 hour late. If you're just joining us because we started an hour earlier than usual, I won Best Supporting Actress and my monologue crushed.
Good.
Yeah, decent.
I can see Jimmy doing that one.
If you're just joining us because we started an hour earlier than usual, you missed it. Will Smith was just escorted. Will Smith was just escorted from the building. He went full Phantom of the Opera. He's been here the whole time. I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
We also moved the clocks today. So remember the rule. Spring forward, fall asleep watching an endless awards show.
I like the self-deprecating humor about how long and boring the show can be.
I did too. We started at 4 p.m. For ratings, and so Clint Eastwood could have something to watch after dinner.
Like that one. I love that one. That might be my favorite.
Jokes for when Jimmy switches jackets.
Oh yeah, he did a wardrobe change into a lighter jacket, like, I don't know, 3/4 in.
Yeah. So jokes for that. I did another Ozempic shot backstage, and the old jacket didn't hang right anymore.
Good Hollywood joke.
Before you think I'm a fashionista, it's the same jacket. It's just reversible. Let's see. Let's see. Change the jacket joke. Beyonce does the costume change 15 times a show. I'm not comparing myself to Beyonce, but all she has to do is sing and dance. I have to stand and tell jokes. I didn't change for fashion reasons. The first jacket had to go back. It was a rental.
That's a good one.
Let's see.
Why the jacket change anyways? I mean, I remember Trevor Noah did it at the Grammys a few times. We don't need that. Guy, just wear your tux.
I'm kind of with you.
What does it do?
I don't know what it does. I really don't know what it does. It's the parsley by the side of the award show plate now. You just have to do it. Jokes for the top of 14. Let's see. Or how long the show's gone on. Let's see.
Which I remember that this was like the first time that the show's actually ahead of schedule. That's why Jim was able to read that Trump tweet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like he legitimately was vamping because the speeches were shorter than they thought and everything just went quicker than expected.
Yeah, this is jokes. Jokes for the fourth time Jimmy is hosting the 96th Oscars. This is the fourth time hosting. I couldn't have done that bad a job before, or they wouldn't ask me back. Oh, unlike the Republican Party. That was a Lynch joke. See, I just went Joe Coy.
That's very Joe Coy of you. I was just going to say.
I'll tell you which ones are Lynch's. Let's see. Barbenheimer phenomenon. Did we do this? Did we do any Barbenheimer? So if anyone listening, if we did any of these, sorry. Some may have escaped me. The Barbenheimer phenomenon. Oppenheimer was about something that could destroy the world, and Barbie was about something that could destroy your career if you make fun of it at the Golden Globes.
Oh, that is a Joe Coy joke.
That is a Joe Coy joke. And that was a Lynch joke, too. Why do we have to... Well, it was. Why do I have to combine the names? just because they're in theaters at the same time. I don't like it. It's dismissive. It turns two great individual accomplishments into a marketing gimmick. Don't you agree, Benifer?
Love it.
Then it would cut away to J-Lo and Ben.
Yeah,
right?
Ben would be looking pretty upset.
Why do we have to combine the names? Just because they're in theaters at the same time. Full Metal Jacket and Spaceballs came out on the same day in 1987, but we don't call it Full Metal Balls.
The real missed opportunity. We should have.
Yes. Another year of long movies. Killers of the Flower Moon,
Yes.
Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, blah, 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 etc. Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon are up for Best Editing. That's like giving Super Mario Brothers Best Hair and Makeup.
Yeah, I won't. I don't even want to watch Killers just because it seems like too daunting of a task.
It kind of is. These movies are longer than Bradley Cooper's prosthetic nose. Oppenheimer was 3 hours long. I Am Become Death. Destroyer of Bladders.
Gotta pee.
Christopher Nolan made the bold directorial choice to tell the story of the Manhattan Project in the same length of time as the actual Manhattan Project. So that's a Lynch joke. Killers of Flower Moon was extremely long. I had a 3.5. Killers of Flower Moon was extremely long. It had a 3.5 hour running time. And then it's running time because your bladder's going to explode.
Yeah.
Half the movies are over 3 hours. All the new theaters have a full menu and reclining seats. No wonder America's so fat. They're going to have to start offering Ozempic flavored popcorn.
We can't do that one.
Saltburn. Did that joke already.
Do you like that movie?
I never saw that one.
Okay.
I just sort of, there were certain movies that even I was writing jokes for, I was like, I don't think I can do this. This is a Lynch joke. All the presenters tonight got a bottle of Jacob Elordi's bathwater in their gift basket.
Great. You gotta do a bathwater joke.
Controversy surrounding Bradley Cooper's prosthetic nose. We did some of those. This was the controversy about the prosthetic nose. Yeah, he also got a sternly worded letter from PETA about Rocket Raccoon. My writers had. That's a little.
Yeah, the one where the nose is running Hollywood is the top tier of the nose jokes.
I like that. I like that joke. First time in 10 years, the highest-grossing U.S. movie at a worldwide box office wasn't a sequel. Two of the highest-grossing movies this year were Barbie and Super Mario Brothers. 50 years ago, the highest-grossing movies were The Exorcist and The Sting. Maybe we need to rethink this whole legalizing pot thing. Wes Anderson. Oh, there's a
Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson won an Oscar, but it was like for like a short.
This is a Lynch joke that's funny. So if Wes Anderson wins in live action short, it could be his first Oscar. The great Wes Anderson is nominated tonight for live action short. Live action short is also what Tom Cruise's stunt coordinator calls him behind his back.
Dawson, thumbs up from Dawson.
That's a good joke.
It's a good joke.
All right.
I don't like the short jokes, though. We don't need.
We'll cross those off. We still got more. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll do some news right after this. Tommy John Elevate every morning with Tommy John Second Skin underwear. The luxurious support of Second Skin guarantees everything will go smoothly. With Tommy John, you're much more comfortable, so you'll do everything better. Second Skin underwear has dozens of comfort innovations, like a supportive contour pouch, and horizontal quick draw fly, plus breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric with 4 times more stretch than competing brands. Over 20 million pairs sold. thousands of 5-star reviews. I mean, they don't have customers. They have fanatics. I'm wearing mine right now. That's all you need to know. I wear them every single day. And you will not go back to what you're currently wearing unless you're wearing Tommy John. It's the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guaranteed. It's Tommy John, right, Dawson?
For silky, soft comfort with sophisticated style, check out Tommy John's luxurious Second Skin limited edition colors now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. They're going fast, so hurry to TommyJohn.com/Adam.
Factor. Eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Each fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. Over 35 different options every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Plus over 60 add-ons. 2-minute meals. Fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat wherever you are. No prep, no cooking, or cleanup needed. Get just what you need. Choose your meals every week. Pause or reschedule deliveries anytime. Factor. It's the perfect solution for fast, premium options with no cooking required. So get Factor and think about other things and get healthy as well. It's Factor, right, Dawson?
Head to factormeals.com/Carolla50 and use code Carolla50 to get 50% off. That's code Carolla50 at factormeals.com/Carolla50 to get 50% off. Celebrating 15 years of podcasting, here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
Hey, Travis.
How are you?
Good. Who's your gal pal over there?
This is Mizuki, my girlfriend.
Mizuki. I rode one of those when I was 19, man.
Easy.
That was one of the most reliable bikes I ever had, man. That Mizuki 404, 4-in-1 pipe, disc in the front, drum in the rear. Sweet
Drum
hammer.
in the rear for sure.
It was. It didn't have a lot of low end, but once you wound that thing up, it pulled hard.
We've been together for 3 years now. And
3 years.
Yes. Mizuki but I've been waiting for the perfect time, and I wanted to do something special.
Sure.
And I wanted other people to be involved again. So, Mizuki, I'm the happiest person in the world when I'm with you.
He's on one knee. He's on one knee. Oh my God.
She's nodding and crying.
She's crying.
And
I've done my job.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Awesome time. Oh my God.
I give it 9 months.
Now, for some new memorable moments, let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I got chills listening to that.
We're in Portland?
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, Seattle. Yeah. And then they went on the cruise. I think. Good couple.
A really great couple, great fans.
All right.
Still married. They beat the 9-month mark.
Oh, yeah. That clip's from 7 months ago, so we got a little
We got time.
All right. What else do we got?
All right. So, here's I'm going to read you a headline. Just guess what year it was written.
Mm-hmm.
The EPA bans asbestos in the United States.
Asbestos is another one of those big, crazy safety things. The remediation thing, I think they call it. So what they do is you start to demo a house, and then they go, you can't demo the house unless we test for asbestos.
It was a big deal.
And then they pull up one tile from the kitchen floor that was put down in 1947, and they send it out for testing. By the way, guess who pays for all this? And then it always comes back with asbestos, because if there's nothing that they test for asbestos, if you went down and bought a sack of burritos. You went out and bought Doritos, and you pulled one Dorito chip out and sent it in, it would come back positive for traces of asbestos. And then once they do that, they go, all right, now you got to hire a crew to come in and take it out safely, and it's really nothing. And
it's a carcinogen.
It's been in everything. It's demo. Everything you demo has asbestos in it.
Right. We haven't heard about it.
No. We get hot with like asbestos, and then we get tired of asbestos, so we move on. Like the pussy committees go, all right, we fucked out asbestos. What do you want to get into? And they go, How about radon gas?
Oh, we haven't done that in a
goes,
while.
what's radon gas? And they go, don't worry about it, Phil. It's something. And we can scare the fuck out of people. And also, we can pay people to come do it. You know, when I had my other warehouse over there, before I sold it, I tried to sell it like 5 years earlier. And I had this deal for like $5 million. And I was like, oh, that's good money. I'm going to take it. So I'm going to sell it. But before I could sell it, they had to test to see what the groundwater was like underneath it. Is there benzene in it or whatever it is? Because this corridor used to do a lot of manufacturing during World War II and in the 40s. There were a lot of defense contractors.
Of course.
And they put benzene in the water, right? So then they go drill a hole. And they drill a hole like 30 foot deep. And they send this snake down it, and they come back to test for benzene. And I hope everyone's sitting down.
Okay.
It had 0.0009, benzene content.
Trace.
And then
Slight trace.
And then I go, so it's 30 feet below the ground. And they go, yeah. And I go, well, when I bought it, no one tested for benzene. So I didn't build the thing in 1946. I bought it in 2010. So why is this on me? And then they go, oh, all right. Well, what we can do is by the way, they just changed it. It used to be, 0.1 benzene content, and now they went to 0.9. So you just missed it.
Threshold
because
was
you would have
lowered, yeah.
passed it 2 years ago. But is everyone sitting down? What did they do? They went deeper into safety, right? So now they go, look, what they can do is they can go indoors, they can go into the office spaces, they'll go inside, and they'll test for benzene particles in the air or whatever. So they go inside and they test for benzene particles. Guess, by the way, who pays for this? And guess how long everything takes, right?
Government.
And then they go in and they test for benzene particles in the air inside the office. And they come back and they go, it turns out the office air is actually cleaner than what's outside on the sidewalk. And I go, okay, then we're done with our benzene thing. And they're like, no, we're not. So then the guy who offered $5 million goes, yeah, I'll tell you what, let's make it $3 million. And I go, $3 million? And he goes, it's going to cost $2 million because we have to dig up the parking lot and we have to dig up 6 foot of soil and take it to some, wherever the Mexicans live, and we'll dump it there. And then we got to repave. And I'm like, are you fucking... No, I'm not going to do it. And then it's like, well, you can't sell it because no bank is going to give a loan to anyone who wants to buy this property with this benzene problem dangling. Banks aren't going to sign off on the loan. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm fucked. But I guess that's it.
You're not going to do it.
And we just
let's halt economy.
Didn't sell it. Went back, and then 5 years later, went to sell it again. And I was talking to the commercial realtor, and I was like, well, what happened to the whole benzene thing? And they're kind of moving on.
Do you hear about radon gas, though?
Yeah, we're moving on to radon. And in murder hornets, in Africanized killer bees, this is the game. Then people who live in rent-control apartments in Santa Monica go, good, I want more of this. And it's like, you don't fucking get it. And also, the people that are making the rules are not in the game. You understand? They're not even on the sidelines. They're not even in the bleachers. They're not even in the fucking stadium. They're way off the game. They're not in the game.
Worse off, they're refereeing the game.
They're refereeing the game, except for they're not in it. They're bureaucrats who make $56,000 a year and ruin people's fucking lives.
And they do this so they can get reelected because they can say, I did this for safety.
I took a stand, and the kids and the benzene.
And there's no other place to go. They just have to keep going.
Eventually, the people that are doing business go, you know what? I don't want to deal with all that shit in California. We're going to Nevada because I'm going to build my warehouse in Nevada where they have a friendlier climate. So, and all the things, whether it's the footings or the benzene or whatever it is, or radon or whatever the fuck we were talking. What
Asbestos.
Asbestos. Look, I don't want my kids to hang out in a warehouse with dangerous levels of benzene in it. I don't want to hang out in that warehouse with dangerous levels. I don't want to live in a structure where if a 3.0 earthquake hits, the whole place is going to be level. I don't want any. I don't want. If COVID is a killer and going to devastate me and my family, guess I don't want it. I'm not being reckless. There is no danger here being posed. Just fucking money. Just you understand. You have, if you do anything with steel, you've got to weld the steel, and when you weld the steel, they need a deputy inspector to inspect the steel. The welder, he stands there and watches the guy weld, except for he never gets out of his truck. He sits in his fucking truck and he eats a sandwich. He watches a guy weld for like 45 minutes and he leaves. He gets paid by me. You have to hire the deputy inspector. It's not like the city provides the deputy inspector. You pay the city for all the permits, and then they tell you you need a deputy inspector for the welds. And I go, what's he do? He sits in and watches the guy weld. Except for he doesn't do that because he's not a fucking idiot. The guy's going to weld. He'll watch for 45 minutes. He'll eat his sandwich. He'll get his $380 for his hour work, and he'll give you a fucking certificate, and then he'll leave. Because why wouldn't you? Well, everyone's just scamming now, right? Then you have to pay a guy to do an ultrasound on the welds. After the guy welds it, and after the deputy inspector who you pay watches the guy weld, then a third guy has to show up with an ultrasound and microflux the welds or whatever to check for, microscopic, cracks or whatever. And then I'm like, why do I need a deputy inspector to watch a guy weld if then after I get that certificate, then the ultrasound guy's going to show up and check the welds? Right. And they're like, because it's not our money. Because we don't give a fuck, and it's not our money, and we're creating jobs for the deputy inspector who votes for us. Says his union will vote for us. We don't want to put them out of work, so we'll pay deputy inspectors, pay the guy. Not to mention the guy who welds it, you have to pay, and then you have to pay the ultrasound guy to show up. And that's why you can't do business.
It's a con.
It's a fucking grift. It's a total grift. All right. So asbestos wasn't everything created.
Yeah.
They used to have asbestos pajamas for kids. Do you know that? Do any of you know that?
Never heard of that.
First off, just the notion of pajamas sounds insane.
Wearable asbestos.
They had asbestos pajamas for kids because of fire.
Oh, because, that's very heat resistant.
Yes. So, at 4 a.m, when we're standing out in the curb and I'm in my underpants and I got my 5-year-old, I go, you go in and get the fucking dog. I'll put some foil on your head. Come on, there's feetsies built in.
You're good.
Button the flap in the back. Button the flap. I'll put some foil over your head and go get Tigger. I'm telling you, look it up, Doss. I swear to God, that is asbestos pajamas. Back. Okay.
Not anymore.
That asbestos everywhere, all through the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Became a big thing probably in the 80s or 90s.
EPA bans asbestos, finally slamming the door on carcinogen that kills tens of thousands of Americans.
That doesn't kill tens of thousands.
Every year.
No. Okay. Remember, secondhand smoke kills 50,000 Americans every year, right?
Right.
So remember, when these people are telling you COVID death rates, but Grandpa had dementia, Alzheimer's, and kidney failure before he got COVID. Mm-hmm. Now, so keep in mind what they do, pad the numbers, then make the regulation. So 50,000 Americans are killed of secondhand smoke every year. So no more smoking in the park, except for no Americans are killed by secondhand smoke. But you can't say no Americans are killed by secondhand smoke, so no smoking in the park. And you can't say healthy, fit people aren't killed by COVID, but we're going to shut down every small business and every church.
Yeah, that's not effective.
You have to first scare. I mean, you find that fucking tape of Sotomayor up there when they were going to the Supreme Court and saying, should every American be forced to have this experimental vaccine? Should they all, every American, to return to school, to return to work, to be in the military, to be a cop, to be a firefighter? Should they all? And she went on some fucking retarded jag about kids being hooked up to ventilators that didn't exist.
Right.
So you're making policy on something that doesn't exist. I'm sorry, we're fucked if that's the way we're going to do things.
They're still doing it, and they're actually right now they're doing it with
Air fryers.
No, like Christian nationalists. Or
right, we're going to invent something.
White
and then,
supremacists in America, and they will take a really innocuous thing, but since it's committed by a white person, they call it a hate crime or a white supremacist incident.
Yes, they are.
And then the FBI can go, well, look at all of these examples of
hate crimes.
Oh,
by the way,
that's why.
If a black guy takes a machete to a blonde chick, we're not going to count that as a hate crime. Right. So now the stats get a little skewed after a while, right?
That blonde chick's actually a smoker, so she died from
Not only that, they'll literally not count black criminals as black criminals sometimes in order to skew it.
Didn't they just, it was a Venezuelan illegal immigrant committed some crime, and in the police report they called him white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how we roll. So fuck with all the statistics that have to do with crime or COVID or benzene particles or whatever it is, secondhand smoke. Fuck with all of it. Then proclaim you guys follow the science, and then shut everyone else up who wants to make an argument by deplatforming them, then make legislation. Yeah. That's how it works. All right, find me Asbestos pajamas, and then find me Sotomayor.
And order some.
I'm not making this shit up.
Flame retardant. You can't even say retardant. No. Yeah, look at that. This kid is wearing NFL-style pajamas that are flame retardant. And those have
does it have but it's got to have asbestos infused. It's got to say asbestos somewhere. It can't just
that has to be a positive feature about it.
Or just look if flame retardant pajamas had asbestos in it. But you can look it up.
When you were in construction, this wasn't a thing you guys worried about. It was. I remember hearing about when I was a kid, like you were finding the ceilings and shit.
Dumb shit, white guys and poor Mexicans, and they didn't have so much as a set of goggles or a mask. You just go in and fucking start demoing out some ceiling, and while all the fucking rat shit and all the insulation and shit would just come pour down on your sweaty head, and you just have your you have your fucking t-shirt pulled up over your face, like someone farted in an elevator, just breathing through your fucking sweaty t-shirt. That was it.
Jeez.
We didn't have goggles like when we cut steel, like when we were doing earthquake rehab, and you had to do a parapet brace, and you're like cutting steel, and you had to chop saw the carburetor blade, and sparks would go over. You just as you're turning it down, just turn your head and look the other direction. While I was like, man, sparks would be fucking on your t-shirt, burning holes in it and stuff. That's all we did. So, and this is my problem. Because now people come to me and they go, I don't feel safe with the drinking out of the same water bottle that has certain... And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Just drink it out of the fucking sink, would you please? The water bottle. I read an article that water bottles... there's spores that grow in the water. Just fucking clean it out. Does it smell? No, but you can't smell these spores. Okay, all right. Put a helmet on.
Spores.
Put the helmet on. Drink the water out of the tap. How about we'll compromise? You put a helmet on and drink tap water. How about that?
Yeah, let us know physically.
All right, asbestos pajamas and or Sotomayor. I'll take Sotomayor.
Yeah. Well, the EPA.
In this case. All right. This is not Sotomayor, but we'll see.
We have
Maybe
over 100,000 children which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
Yeah, nobody on ventilators. Okay, bitch. But make policy based on
Yeah, she was rounding up.
crazy gypsy thinking. All right.
Over 100,000 children in serious condition.
What does that mean? Because of COVID?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did anyone lose a... Okay. Nobody lost a kid to COVID who was healthy. So fuck off. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
right.
When you so anyway, that headline was written 2 days ago.
Well, what year did they stop it then?
That's 2 days ago.
Asbestos?
That's asbestos.
But they've been
regulating
you can't
it.
put it in flooring or residential materials or whatever.
People in
right?
construction saying like, oh, look, we're still finding asbestos in like drywall, joint compound, and ceramic tiles and things like that. And it is in a lot of things like brake pads, especially like brake pads,
asbestos,
chlorine, bleach.
The biggest manufacturer of brake pads is called Asbestos.
That can't be a coincidence.
No, I don't think it is. I think Asbestos was bragging about asbestos.
It has the word best in it. Why wouldn't you put it in there?
Back
That's
in
not the guy's
the day.
name. It's not Ray.
I know. I look.
That's not
Asbestos,
Joe
Asbestos. You can find Asbestos, who's friends with Aldo Celli,
Yeah.
and he'll tell you the best place to get a slice in the city.
There's actually a town in Canada, in Quebec, called Asbestos.
Oh, really?
Asbestos, yeah, and they just changed their name to Valley of the Springs.
I need pajamas. What do they put in those pajamas to make them fire retardant? That's what I need. Anyway, It was in everything. It was like, you know what the modern day version of that is? Canola oil. It's in everything.
Really is.
Every single thing you buy that has been made, it has canola oil in it. And that's what asbestos used to be. All right.
Elizabeth Hurley's in the news again.
Yeah.
Still love her.
Hot.
So
hot.
God. In her, yeah.
Let me tell you, for all the people that are trying to get us to jump on board with Lizzo or whoever your version of hot is, Elizabeth Hurley, hot. That's what hot is.
Can confirm. Well, anyway, so she's starring in a new erotic thriller called Strictly Confidential. Mm-hmm. And there's some racy sex scenes in there, some girl-on-girl sex scenes, which sounds pretty fun. But here's the catch. This movie is directed by her son,
Yeah.
Damien.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's Damien.
He looks like
Liz.
her. I mean,
He's a good-looking guy, yeah, like a feminine.
there was a whole thing several years ago. What's going on with those pajamas? Got to be info out there. What have you found out, Byron? It can't be that hard.
Some old pajamas had 5 to 10% asbestos fibers in them, but I'm looking for confirmation to give you, exact.
Well, that's it.
That's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough to be alarming.
You can forward that information to me. Yeah, well, they're not made of asbestos. Asbestos is put in everything. Like joint compound is not all asbestos. It's joint compound with asbestos. But
Our pajamas are 100%.
the point is the pajamas you buy your kids have 10% or 5 or 10% asbestos in it. The tile that you need to send out for testing has less than 1% in it, and you got to move out of the house.
That still qualifies as you need to evacuate.
Yeah.
Immediately.
There was a story 10 years ago about Elizabeth Hurley and her son, and they're like pictures of them like walking on the beach and like hugging or something, and he's like grabbing her ass or something. Like there was a thing.
I mean, it is.
Look, if she were my mom, I'm sorry.
I would have an Oedipus
Dr.
complex.
Freud, but I'm moving in. But God, good look. That's a good-looking woman. But I'm telling you, he's now directing his mom to make out with chicks, which seems weird.
And she loved it. She said, "Look, I like that he was directing me. I felt safe and looked after during this." It's weird. That's weird, right?
It's all a little weird, but we're all seeing things through the eyes of our moms. And like,
True.
like,
Oh, now
if I saw my mom back in the day, like wearing a sleeveless shirt, I'd be like, oh God, yuck. Oh, put some sleeves on. Jesus Christ, I got to eat later. Ugh. Put a bathrobe on or hang a sheet over your head or something. Like everything, everything. When I thought through the lens of my mom, I'd always just be like, oh, yuck. So, but if Elizabeth Hurley was my mom, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some TMZ story, Byron or Dawson? I'm telling you, it's like 8 years old, and it's Liz Hurley and her son like walking on the beach, and they're like cuddling or something, and everyone kind of went, It was kind of like that Angelina Jolie thing where she was kissing her brother like on the red carpet, and they're like mouth to mouth. Like every once in a while, the sibling, the parent, it gets a little, dicey.
Well, supposedly Elizabeth Hurley did an interview like in 2018 that her like hot bikini pictures on the beach. She said, "Oh yeah, my son takes those," and then she said,
Yes.
"Damien definitely takes some of them, but I do have other friends that I could torture for some too."
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that torture.
Torture me.
I'd sit and shoot her for like 2 hours on the beach in her bikini, and then at the end I'd go, "Oh, Elizabeth, we got to do it again because the camera was out of film." And then she'd go, "It's a digital camera," and I'd go, "Oh, what's up with this fucking asbestos?"
Yeah, we gotta get out of here and do this somewhere else.
Yeah. All right.
Did you? I guess your era of construction would have done this. The popcorn ceiling.
Ugh.
What was that?
Listen, I'm glad you brought it up. Popcorn ceilings, as everyone's sitting down, has asbestos in it, okay? Yeah. And what they do, and everyone got tired of the popcorn ceilings from the 70s, and then when I showed up in the 80s, like the mid-80s, I was low man on the totem pole, so I had to take the popcorn ceiling fucking off.
Oh, you were scraping them off. That's...
Okay, so what you would do is you can either skim coat it with a joint compound and sort of entomb the popcorn and the asbestos. Although no one fucking said anything about asbestos. They just put those stilts on, get this broad knife and scrape that shit.
Right.
If anyone's listening, the way you would do it is you would get a Hudson sprayer. If you want to do it right, you would get a Hudson sprayer. That's one of the sprayers you pump, like the exterminator uses. All right. You get the Hudson sprayer, put in hot water and vinegar, like white vinegar or hot water and wallpaper remover or something, and take that Hudson sprayer and emulsify the popcorn. Just soak it with that hot water and I think wallpaper remover or vinegar or something like that. And you just soak it all up. Then, and put all the plastic down on the floor. Then take a broad knife, a stiff knife, and just scrape it and it'll come off. And the thing about like asbestos is, if you wet it down, it doesn't go airborne. What you don't want is
you don't want to
dust.
breathe it in.
You don't want to breathe it in.
Right.
So that's what it is.
Yeah, I remember there's this band that I used to love in high school growing up. And then when I was in college, a friend of mine said, "Oh, yeah, the lead singer of that band came over to my house the other day. He scrapes popcorn off the ceilings now. That's what he does." And I just like, man, what happened? You're my hero.
I went to Tom Johnson's house on Owens Mouth in Chatsworth, and one of the first things he told me to do is just get up there and scrape that ceiling. And I have scraped asbestos ceiling.
Popcorn.
Horrible.
You turned out okay.
I've done all the shit work, all of it. I've done it all. I've been under. You know how Bon Jovi's seen a million faces and rocked them all? I've been under every fucking condemned apartment building in L.A. fucking digging footings with a coffee can.
And you rocked them all.
I rocked every one of those fucking coffee cans in the fucking buildings. Oh, I've done the worst jobs ever.
I saw this, speaking of music, I saw this story going around. It's been repeated before, but Weird Al. It's about Weird Al.
Yeah.
And he's talking about doing parodies and all the artists. And he said there was one artist who refused to let him do a parody.
Lynch just sent me this.
Yeah.
But we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Prince, right?
It's your boy Prince.
Okay.
Who, after seeing the We Are the World performance where he
One
just
guy
has
who
a
didn't show
lollipop in his mouth. When they were doing it live. Remember?
That was incredible. Yeah, okay. There's one guy that didn't participate with Weird Al and one guy that didn't participate with We Are the World, and it's the same guy.
Same guy.
His name is Prince. That being said, I've said this a million times. We're way too into Weird Al. Weird Al doesn't do shit. Weird Al.
So you're Team Prince on this?
Copies people's songs and Weird Al does what I was able to do when I was 11. You know, like sitting around, my bologna, oh, I want another sandwich, give me another slice of my bologna, oh, I need some mustard now. Like, every fucking 9-year-old can do what he does, like a surgeon or whatever the fuck it is. We love Weird Al way too much. There's nothing going on.
Amish paradise.
I like, I go have fun at his concerts, but I'm going to put Weird Al in the same category as I'm going to put like P. Diddy when he writes his tribute to Biggie Smalls or whatever.
I'll be missing you.
Yeah. I'll be missing. Yeah. You're not doing anything. It's someone else's
kinda
song.
Hard when you're not around. No, you're in heaven, smiling down.
All shit we could have done. I don't have to bring receipts, but I wrote 1,000 songs about my friend with a big dick in high school that were all better than Weird Al. I wrote about my friend who worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken for like 5 years, all the way through like junior high and high school. He worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then he quit, and I sat down and wrote a song to the tune of Miss American Pie.
American Pie.
Yeah, American Pie. Sorry. Bye, old Kentucky Fried, though your chicken's finger licking, my interest has died. And good old chefs are cooking chicken that's fried, saying this'll be the day that we fry. And then I did 7 minutes.
Well, that's how long the
All
song
better
is.
than Weird Al. And I was fucking 16. So fuck that.
Let's lay that down.
Yeah. I wish I could find the words out of that shit. And that's also how bored I was. That's why I wrote that that stupid letter to my, friend Carl. All right. Tyrus is on. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with a great Tyrus right after this. Magic Spoon. Well, I try to cut back on sugar and add a little more protein to my diet, and that's where Magic Spoon comes in. Makes it easier and more delicious than ever. Yeah, a lot of people cut back on the cereal because they're trying to get a little more keto in there, but you miss it, man. And that's where Magic Spoon enters. Variety packs, 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. That's my personal favorite. This pack has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Only 140 calories per serving, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free, so you can get back to the cereal without the waistline expanding. Go to magicspoon.com/Adam. Grab a variety pack and try it out today. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Be sure to use the promo code Adam at checkout for $5 off your order. It's Magic Spoon, right, Dawson?
Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, start the year off right with a delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/Adam and use the code Adam to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Rosetta Stone. Oh, my kids are heading off to college soon. One of them may be going to a JC. We'll see. Anyway. They're going to want to travel the globe and see the world, and they're going to have to learn new languages wherever they go. And that's where Rosetta Stone comes in, the most trusted language learning program available on desktop or as an app. You can truly immerse yourself in the language that you're learning. 30 years and millions of users 25 languages: Spanish, French, Italian, German, Korean, Chinese, Arabic. It's all there. Designed for long-term retention. No English translations. Learn to speak, listen, and think in that language. Plus, the built-in True Accent feature gives you feedback on pronunciations. Drew and his wife have been using this. He said he tuned his wife up on French, and it's now she's like a local. Lifetime membership has all 25 languages for 50% off. That's Rosetta Stone, right, Dawson?
Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a very limited time, Adam Carolla Show listeners can get a Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/Adam. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/Adam today. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace man, one thing that you absolutely have to have happen before you die: have one of your kids get in an argument with an officer and yell, "Do you have any idea who my dad is?"
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Tyrus has joined us. Let me give a plug to a show. Maintaining with Tyrus on OutKick is available on OutKick.com and Facebook, X, YouTube. You see him on Gutfeld almost every night. Pops up on the 5. Written books and wrestler as well. And just an all-around clear thinker. Good to see you, Tyrus.
What it is, man. Nice. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I find myself attracted, not physically, but emotionally attracted to clear thinkers because we've gone so batshit crazy in our society. And when I hear you talk about almost any subject, I just go, oh, he's clear. It's a clear mind.
I think you were the poster child for rational thinking during the pandemic, which meant you're one of the most vilely hated and attacked people on the planet. And I consider it a badge of honor to be in the same class as you because telling someone they're really good at common sense, I never thought was a compliment.
Right.
Like, just the definition of common sense. It's not above average sense. It's like you're a C student.
Yeah.
You just call, hey, the sun's out.
Not only that, no, they call it horse sense. Horse, a stupid animal. You know what I mean?
We see fire, we both go, hey, don't touch it. No matter how shiny, just don't touch it. That's not brilliant. I'm not Socrates. But it's amazing. It's become such when I hear someone say it, they're like, man, it's just so refreshing. Doesn't everyone have this?
Well, I have a theory, which is we used to have it because you had to have it, because if you don't have it and you worked on a farm, you would be killed almost immediately. You really literally would be killed because you'd be standing behind a mule and your friend would be standing in front of the mule and you'd not be paying attention and your friend would be fucking with the mule, and the next thing you know, you'd get kicked in the head and you'd be in a coma for the rest of your life. Like, you had to hook up. Everything had a blade. Everything spun. There was a sawmill. Like, you really had to have a sense all the time of danger, how to approach things. Do not walk behind that mule. Walk in front of the mule. And so it was built in, the horse sense. It was just sort of built in. There's a pragmatism that creates. And we got everyone off the farm and we put them in a cubicle and we pushed in some air conditioning and we took them to the New York Times and we said, sit here in this air conditioning in your cubicle and let your thoughts run wild. And that's where we're at.
It's the first world problem hangover is what it is. Like, my phone having 10% on it at the airport is not a first world problem. But I can tell you, I have seen more meltdowns traveling as much as I travel with someone looking for a charger for their phone. And they're just falling apart. And I always just have to ask, who are you waiting on a call from? Is Pope, president? Is there some major catastrophe going on that the world, because you're only going to be on a plane for 2 hours. Do you have to stay in contact? I think it's just the convenience of not having to think because I can just Google it, which again, one of the most annoying people is a Google doctor or a Google scientist, or you're having a conversation with somebody. Have you had this yet? Where you're talking to someone, I'm going to Google what you just said.
Right.
And you just go, you just want to take your phone from them and break it now. Google, figure it out yourself. Like I'm searching this week. I managed to procure rotary phones for my children and Encyclopedia Britannica. So I'm going to remodel my home in the clear thinking module and watching my kids. Like I was betting money. You loved it. $100 if you could dial daddy's number in less than a minute, and you must do full rotation. They can't get there. I had injuries. I literally had an injury while they were trying to turn the thing, and I was like, and these are my children. So they're going to learn how to do those things, but it's just, people cannot function. Things like cable, plugging things in, going without, they just can't handle it. We're so spoiled.
Well, there's a direct correlation that I've always chirp about on this podcast and to anyone who'll listen to me between sort of getting off the farm and going insane. And I keep telling everybody, we're going to have to synthesize the farm. We're going to have to recreate it because there isn't enough farmland and enough jobs. We have treadmills, and we have treadmills because we have a sedentary life, and we all sit in air conditioning, and we all stare at our phones. And so somebody invented a treadmill. And you go, why do you need a treadmill? And the answer is because we don't have to walk with a gourd on our head 5 miles to get water and come back again. We all were skinny. Now we have to synthesize it. And I'm telling people, you better synthesize the farm. You better give yourself some tasks. You better get on your feet. You better go mow your own lawn or clean your own garage. It's not going to be the farm. It's going to be the treadmill version of working on the farm.
How many people, let's just say something happened and China, someone shuts down the grid. How many people do you know just in the area around that could make their own fire? It would be fine. Or how many deaths do you think with people trying to go back to like basic human skills? I look around here and I would be very quiet. I would not say a word. I would not even want to tell anybody that I can make a fire. I would just keep those, and then all of a sudden I'd be the most brilliant man in the group for knowing basic things that everyone was supposed to learn. I was lucky. I was in the Boy Scouts, so we learned what it was like to be outside and to be able to tow the ship and make an axe out of something, or like these little things. Like my kids have to take sewing class, and they're like, "Dad, no one else does sewing." I said, "But if you're ever in a situation where you rip clothes or something happens, wouldn't it be nice to be able you could just sew it up and not just sit there and look for staples trying to put your pants back together?" Like it's just, you're so right. We were just so far away from this, the group that controls the microphone and the social media is completely first world. Everything they has to come from their little box. If it doesn't come from their magic box, there's a problem with it.
Yeah, well, I'll take the sewing analogy. Not that it was even really an analogy, but I'll turn it into one. I'll take it further, which is you should learn to sew. And then the answer would be, when am I ever going to use that? And the answer is probably never, but that'll be one more skill, one more discipline. You'll get something out of the discipline of learning to sew. And at a certain point, when you get together a lot of skills, it changes you. It does something. I was a former builder, and I'm very competent at building. How much building do I do now? Not very much. I sit around and talk into a microphone, and then I get on an airplane, and I get up on stage, and I talk into another microphone, and not a lot, but it's in my head, and I do understand things, and I have a skill set. And it could be you're a doctor, and now you've turned into a talk show host or whatever it is. But sewing, playing an instrument, second languages, building, construction, how to make a canoe out of a fallen tree or something. Like, you don't need it, but it's all part of the bigger mosaic that is you.
Well, that argument used to be specific to math. Like, geometry and tricks. I don't need to know it. When am I going to use it in my life? And it builds your brain for larger thinking. You apply things, and it will show up. It's just not where you think it will.
100%.
And it's one of those things where there will come a time when the way of thinking of problem solving math will help you problem solve other things in your life. So maybe it won't be a calculator dropped on a desk like you have 7 minutes to solve this isosceles triangle or the world blows up. But there will be situations in life where you use it. But the answer now is, if it's difficult, if it's hard, don't worry about it. We don't need it. And then you got us. We're the old men now on the porches telling everyone, your yard looks like crap. Stay off my yard. Like, get it together. And everyone just kind of backs their hands at us like, oh, they're just, and then all the things were misogynistic, were all these evil alpha males trying to help people. But I find it very, very troubling that when you even mention what you just mentioned, how you turned sewing into, people will be, well, you just triggered me because, I could get stuck with a needle. And we all know needles were made by white people. And white people are the reason why we have the problems in this world. Because when your feelings, you can connect anything. I think that's the issue that you and I have in common is we don't see the connective tissue in a lot of the arguments. The map doesn't make sense. The 1 + 1 is 47 in their world, and 1 + 1 is 2 in ours. I think that's the huge disconnect, and it's very hard not to say anything. I just did it the other day in my daughter's dance class. Bunch of young women sitting around with a candle. They're trying to guess the flavor of the candle, and I'm not in their conversation. I'm just watching my daughter do her little ballet moves, and I couldn't take it anymore. I said, "Excuse me, give me a damn candle. It's blue raspberry, okay? It used to be in our Otter Pops." And I turned around and went back to my business. They're like, "Wow, man, he's just got a lot of common sense." And I just thought, no, I just remember what things smell like. Like, it's just, you shouldn't get a standing ovation for knowing smell.
Speaking of arguing over race, I'll give Dawson some lead time, but Don Lemon, when he was arguing with Elon Musk about slavery, was sort of exactly what Tyrus is saying, which is Elon's like, it happened everywhere, and now we need to move on. And Dom's like, how are we supposed to move on? And it's like, it's the craziest cyclical conversation to have. It's horrible for whatever race you're pretending to be to be a spokesperson for. And all the most successful people I know of just about any race all just moved on. They're all just out there crushing it and want nothing to do with the group or the march or the protest. They're just going, I'm an individual. We're in America. It's 2024. I'm going to make hay while the sun shines.
Well, to even look at that, so to go after the race baiting thing, Don Lemon is such an interesting dude to me because I remember him before the Trump derangement. And he was a little left-leaning, but I would argue that Don was a news guy. And I didn't agree with a lot of things that he had to say, but I didn't have a problem having him on my TV. Like if I saw, oh, Don Lemon's on, but I would watch to see what he was talking about because I like to watch everything as much as I can. And then if something gets too weird, I'm gone. But who he was then to who he was now, and here he is with a fresh start. He's on X. He's got a fresh start. And he literally is still talking in the interview like he was sent, like he was sent by the people to go get Elon Musk. And I've never seen a guy give away a job faster than in that interview. And I don't understand what even the point was to get the interview with Elon. And just, I could tell Elon was shocked by some of his questions. Like, is this guy for real? And I don't understand why he's going to go that route. Seeing because they eat their own. I don't think Don did anything to be fired. She's never been fired, but they eat their own over. And now he gets an opportunity to have a fresh start and be in a great new place like X, and he just can't shake the derangement. But now it's Elon derangement. Like I guess he thought the woke was going to give him a standing ovation after the interview, and CNN was going to call him and say, "We made a mistake. 8 to 10 is yours now. Thank you. You've saved us all." I don't know what he was doing in the interview. I think that's why I've watched it so many times. So I'm like, what you still want the job, right, bro? Like, you want the job. Get the job. Wait 6 months before you get weird. You don't get weird on the first interview.
And then he went back to CNN and did an interview with them talking about how bad the interview went. It's like you're in a toxic relationship with this network.
I went.
Yeah, he's
suing them. I think he's trying to sue them to get compensation. I went on to Jesse Waters the other day, and I just said, what Don Lemon did is like you going into your boss's office, trying to get a raise, and you sit down and you go, "Hey, it looks like someone's put on a little bit of weight." Anyway, is that a picture?
He's talking about his wife.
Are those a picture? Are those pictures of your kids on the desk? Yeah. Oh boy. I used to date your wife, by the way, in college. Man, was she flexible. Anyway, let's talk about compensation here. Like, but it also, I have a theory, and I've always had this theory, and Tyrus a pretty good guy to bring this up with, which is, I have a theory that when people are sort of protected species, they don't conform to a lot of the same thoughts that we have, meaning this. Like Lori Lightfoot, she's black, she's a lesbian. Okay, she has no predators in the wild because anyone who comes at Lori Lightfoot is going to be called either racist or against the LGBT community or both. So when Lori Lightfoot gets busted during COVID lockdown for getting her hair done, she doesn't apologize. She tells everyone to fuck off. She likes her hair nice. You know what I mean? And when London Breed in San Francisco or Oakland gets caught going to a Tony concert, she doesn't go, "I know I told everyone else to shelter at home and I'm dancing at a concert." She goes, "I felt the groove in me." Now, when you're white and you're heterosexual and you get busted, you got to backpedal it. You know what I mean? You gotta apologize.
Yeah, you guys are on reverse a lot. You guys are on the apology tour. So we should get off.
Don is black and he's gay. So he didn't get called out a lot. Like he was kind of used to doing what he wanted to do, even in the face of a guy like Elon Musk.
Yeah, but here's the problem, and I'll just say it, I just don't care. Even though he's black and he's gay, he's still a man. And right now, men are the most vile, hated thing by the woke. Black Lives Matter was not for black men. Like, it wasn't for anybody but the people running it. But men, especially poor men in general, whatever color they are, everyone hates and has absolutely no use for. They need us to run into fires. They need us to build buildings. But other than that, shut up and stay out of the way. So I think sometimes you're used to be protected in those boxes, but I'm proud to say at some point, being black and being gay really isn't a front issue. It's not something that people bring up anymore. You don't even introduce people like that anymore. So, this is my friend Don. I would leave it up to you to figure out that he was black or had a conversation with him about dating before you find out he was gay, because we've just got past that. We don't have that box isn't good enough anymore. So Don would have to add something to the box in terms of to be a part of that fantasy I can do whatever I want world. So he would have to add, like, he'd have to be a furry. He'd have to wear something of that nature. He'd have to add something to his accoutrement that is untouchable. And then no one can touch him. Because if he had one more box checked in that equity world, he'd be untouchable. But he's got to figure out what that one box is. Me, I'm done. I'm heterosexual, I'm black, I'm light-skinned, I work for Fox, and I'm a kid.
You're out.
So I'm out. I can't do anything to get in. And you know what? I wear it as a badge of honor.
Well,
and I pretend, and I also don't have a problem with white people around me over something that happened 400 years ago. And for the fact that I can't say I've heard some rumors, not on the Scottish side of my family, but on the Jamaican African side of my family, we might have had some cheap manual labor ourselves in our history in Massachusetts on the farm that my family had owned. I don't believe that we were paying our workers a minimum wage. So, it's not, slavery was, at the time, it was three things that mattered in the world: sugar, gold, and human cargo. Those were the three big things. They didn't have Microsoft back then. And those were the things that they had, and it was across the board. And some of the worst slavery stories, whatever, had nothing to do with white people. And a lot of times, even the word slave is Slavic. The reason why it's called slave is because the Slovakians were the most slave people. They got the name. It didn't say African slave. It was slave because that was it. And they would pick slaves, unfortunately, to try to bring them in areas where they couldn't escape. So you didn't want slaves from the same area. So they would trade, and it was horrible. But America, I think, did a great job in terms of 400 years to change the way of thinking, considering that other countries, it was decades, it was years, it was centuries, it was customs. So I think America did a good job of cleaning up its act in a short amount of time. To get to the point we are today, where I can come on a show like you and complain about it. I mean, Don Lemon, what are we doing racism? You are sitting on a show getting paid a lot of money to talk your mind, and there's no guy coming back out with a bat to tell you to shut up and get in the box. So I mean, it's been, when I hear them say there's no how do we get past this? We've been past it. It's just first worlders can bring it up because it's the same. If I yell racism to the average white person, they're going to get nervous and start thinking that I do something wrong. And instead of being like, that's got nothing to do with me. I got my own problem. I'm trying to pay bills. When I get a check, it doesn't say white America on it. It says my name on it. And I think that's one of the things that white people made a mistake. There needs to be draw a line in the sand and be like, no, you're not going to talk to me that way. And it only takes a couple guys and gals to start standing up that way, and it will spread. But this idea that the white people have to apologize for nothing they've gone through, and if you go into their history, there's a good chance they're white now. They might not have been white then, or if they weren't even in the country. Their parents migrated over another way, and maybe they got a horrible story of what it was like to be Irish trying to be in this country, or Swedish to be in this country. Every group that's come into America, they didn't just get welcomed back then. They were considered the enemy.
Well, we have the Don Lemon clip. You have a 2-minute one, Dawson?
Yeah, and by the way, when I was searching for this, I first searched on Google, and I used the search words Don Lemon, Elon Musk, full interview, and guess what I did not get? The full interview.
Oh, interesting.
Only CNN and MSNBC's reporting on it.
Oh, interesting. All right, we'll play this 2 minutes so you can hear what we've been speaking to.
You don't agree that this country was founded on racism and founded on slavery and in many ways inequities that still continue on to this day?
I think every country at that time, and I think even today, was extremely racist. Every country. And obviously slavery was present in about half of this country. Was not present in the North. There was racism for sure, but I think we want to look to the future rather than the past, and instead of engaging in constant rehashing of the past. Because in fact, if you look at history, if you study history broadly, everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Yes. Well, not everyone was a slave.
No, everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
we are all descended from slaves.
Yeah.
Well, all of us.
Yeah.
It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
Right.
But what future do we want? Is this something we want to make part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say, like, let's just move on and treat everyone, according to just who they are as an individual?
There's more right after that. I think there's about another minute. Dawson will find it where they start getting the nuts and bolts. But Don wants to carry this on forever. Oh, we'll hear it now.
Individual.
Thanks.
I agree with you with that. That's the ideal. But what the evidence shows is that that's not what's actually in practice.
I think we're doing better than anywhere else.
That's true. I agree with that. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of, simply because the color of your skin.
What advantages did my color of my skin give me?
Well, there's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't. You were able to come to this country voluntarily. There are many people who were not able to come to the country voluntarily. There are people who came here as slaves.
For me to come here.
And there is a legacy of slavery that still continues on. There's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country. That's undeniable.
Well, if we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away. If we keep making that the central thing, it will never go away.
All right. There's a legacy of slavery that will never go away. It's like, yeah, there's a legacy of the World War II that'll never go away. There's a legacy of the Bismarck being sunk that'll never go away. There's a legacy of everything that happened before today that will never go away. But we don't have to have 9/11 funerals every fucking Tuesday for the rest of our lives. And we don't even have to talk about it all day, every day. It's fucking nuts. And I don't know if they know they're race hustlers or they're just so dipped in this stuff that they can't get out of it.
Now him being fired by X makes even more sense. Just the tone. And he was trying to do, and I hate it. Here's the deal. You're an oxymoron. You're complaining about how racist the world is, but you are a gay black man interviewing a billionaire on his company who he paid you, and he's letting you ask any question you want. You are going anywhere you want to go. At no point while Don was talking did the billionaire's bodyguard lean in and go, "Hey, enough with that question. We don't ask those questions here." Even to the point where he had made Elon uncomfortable, which is, I had not seen him uncomfortable many times, because Elon he got caught up in trying to give the right answer, because that's the problem. We need to stop applying what is the right answer for the individual opposed to what is the right answer for me. What Elon should have said was, listen, I'm an African American myself. I came from Africa. I'm an American. I don't practice that stuff. It's not a part of my world. Next question. But he kept digging it out because he wants him to try to find well, if there is and this, listen, Don got to where you got because of hard work and opportunities. Were there barriers? Yes. Not everyone's going to make it in a capitalist society. Not everyone's going to do it, because if you bust your ass in America, you will see the right. You will see. I've been fired from more jobs than anyone I know. But anytime I've ever got canned, I always thought about what's next. I didn't cross my arms and go, they fired me because I was black. WWE wouldn't let me be heavyweight champion because I was confusing black, light skin. They weren't sure. But do I know that to be true? Is that a great answer for me, instead of saying, hey, maybe I didn't train hard enough. Maybe I had a bad attitude at the meeting. It's a lot easier to say, well, they're just racist. I get to Fox and, oh man, they didn't give me my own show yet. Well, they must be racist. Instead of looking at yourself, it's such an easy cop-out. Don got messed with because of racism. The world's racist. And I can pull that card when it's the greatest card in the world, because you can play it in any game. Parcheesi, Monopoly, Sorry, Trouble. If you're beating me, Carolla, all I got to say is the game is racist.
Right.
And then you will try to convince me it's not, instead of saying, just shut up and take your ass with it.
Right.
You're losing. Okay? All right? And if you want me to call you a black loser when it's over, I will do that for you. But right now in my house, I'm just kicking your ass in Parcheesi. Take it. You knew what the rules of the game was when it started. I'm rolling the dice a little better than you are tonight. And that's really what it is. Don was trying to bait trap his new boss. He literally walked in with he had pictures of his wife from college. And I saved these on my phone. Like, you want to scroll? You want that? I'll give you that one. That's the one that I gave to my friend. This is my Christmas card to my boy. I'll give you that one. And then he wondered why he got fired. And I think Elon was, and that's what we need to stop. Elon is a clear thinker. He's also a billionaire. Act like it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Say it. That was a stupid question.
No, listen, I agree. Lots of questions for Tyrus. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back with Tyrus right after this.
You're about to hear a preview of The Jordan Harbinger Show with the investigator who solved a serial killer case that had gone cold for decades.
There was a definite spike in serial predator crime in the 1970s. Joe D'Angelo was a full-time law enforcement officer. He's breaking into houses in the middle of the night, raping women or girls that are home alone that he's binding up and sexually assaulting. He ended up committing 50 of these attacks in Northern California between 1976 and 1979 and just disappeared. The last thing I did in my career before I retired was I drove up and parked in front of his house. I didn't know he was a Golden State Killer, but I debated, should I just go knock on his door? This was such a brazen, brutal predator. He absolutely had to be caught.
To learn more about how Paul Holes puts himself inside the minds of serial killers, check out episode 725 of The Jordan Harbinger Show.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
Stupid is stupid down.
If you said Forrest Gump,
Stupid is stupid does.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
Tyrus is with us. The show, Maintaining with Tyrus on OutKick. It's available on OutKick.com, Facebook, X, YouTube. Tyrus, you tell me what you think of this, because you've been on Fox for a while, and you being black, you essentially crossed the picket line. You became a scab, and you went over to the side of the enemy. And it was probably in the past would have been a bad decision, just like it'd be a bad decision to speak out against COVID or vaccines or reopening schools or something like that in Hollywood. This is a bad financial decision. But once enough people cross the picket line, it then becomes a different kind of equation. And I think we're getting to a critical mass situation here where, for instance, OutKick and, X bought by Elon and so on and so forth, Tucker Carlson out doing what he's doing, and all these alternative voices out doing what they're doing, and I include you in that. Gutfeld, number one in his time slot on late night, so on and so forth, that it's not a bad decision to make. It's not going to destroy you financially. And as a matter of fact, there may be a lot more meat on that bone on the other side, because they don't really have comedy on that side of the aisle. And the other ones, you have meat on the bone, but you have a whole bunch of people who think exactly the same way, all trying to pick at that bone. And 5, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, wouldn't have been a good idea. But I think now, and it's just hit a critical mass, but 5 years from now, probably people will go, it was shrewd to actually go to the other side of the street.
Yeah, well, I've always been a free thinker my entire life. I've never been a big fan of the group. And maybe that had a lot to do with being light-skinned, because I was getting on both sides sometimes. Not a lot, because I could throw. But you get your ass whipped, you mess with me too much. But when it comes to feeding, it's funny, because when I wanted to get into doing more comedy stuff, or doing some late night talk show stuff, I couldn't even get a meeting or an application at a CNN or MSNBC or Saturday Night Live or anything. I couldn't even get a whiff, because, well, I was a big black wrestler, and that's as far as, didn't matter what I did or what I said, or that I was a teacher, or that I had, I was educated or whatever. Weren't even interested. Sorry. Gutfeld on a Twitter, on a tweet, that somebody was talking shit. Somehow we got mixed up in it. And all I did was say to the guy, instead of being so angry, maybe if I flew you out and we hung out for the day and got a beer, maybe you'd learn to like me and you wouldn't be so angry. And the guy was like, "Oh my God, this is awesome. Can I bring my friend?" And I said no and blocked him. And Gutfeld thought it was hilarious. And then he said, "Hey, would you like to come on my show sometime?" And I was like, I remember the Red Eye thing. I hadn't seen, I'd seen Gutfeld maybe like in passing, flipping channels. And I wasn't super political at the time. And he invited me on the show, and within the first set we did, before the first commercial drops, he leans over, he goes, "Hey, man, your timing is great. You're really funny, man. Would you be interested in like if you live in New York, I'd make you a co-host. And I said, man, I got wrestling and acting and stuff. And but I'd maybe do once a month or something like that. But still didn't look at it for anything than what it was. But what's funny is, and at that time I was coming up, I started getting movies without audition, and I had just finished Preacher and during Preacher, my character expanded and I was getting all these different offers and this stuff. And I started getting Marvel auditions and all this stuff was happening. And then all of a sudden it was, the Fox News stuff. But I've never been a person, and maybe it's a character flaw, maybe it's just has to do with that clear thinking, to where that if I can't get something now, I don't worry about it. Like if they're like, listen, you're not going to get any more movies because you're on Fox News, I can't worry about what might happen. I just know right now that I have an opportunity to express myself, talk about whatever I want to. I was never asked to like anything. I was never given. Suzanne Scott didn't come down with a list of talking points for me to say. I don't even meet with Duckfelds. Like they have team meetings and stuff. You've been on the show with me. I just show up. I'll see you guys out there. Let's see what happens. I do my own research. I stay away from everybody. So as a black man, if every time my skin was taken from me that I made a decision, I would still be in someone to hunger right now. I would still be, you know what I'm saying? Like the easiest thing for an independent, free-thinking black man to do is to try to take a skin color away from me. Oh, well, you're not black then. So let me understand, I'm not black because I'm seeking higher employment. I'm not black because I'm getting a platform to speak the way I want to. I'm not black because I vote conservatively because it's better for my tax bracket and helps me take care of my children and be a good father and a good husband. So you're going to take my skin for that? But because I don't sit with Anderson Cooper on CNN and repeat whatever he says to me, then keep it. But here's the thing. They've been taking my color from me my entire life, but I still look in the mirror, it's the same shade. And what race should I be? Because it can't be white, obviously. That's not allowed. So am I Filipino? Like, what should I morph to? What is the perfect race that can do whatever they want to do? So whenever someone tells me to take my blackness away, come get it. Because according to you, if it's Democrats, it's the biggest burden in the world. I can't get away from it. I can't do anything with it. I need help to get there. I need programs to get there. I need sponsors. I need little rich ladies to clean my face and tell me I'm handsome, and they're going to get me a job as a bodyguard, and I can drive them around on the weekend. They'll even help my wife. She can clean the house and be a nanny. So when you hear the two arguments, take my blackness. I'm my own man, and when I start giving a fuck what a stranger thinks about me color-wise, then game over. I feel bad for anyone that will miss out on an opportunity. Because I have my own man. Whatever I say, I'm responsible for. We get too wild on this, I get canned tomorrow, it's because I said it. You know what I'm saying? So I love the freedom. And when I get home, I don't worry about, oh, honey, this is day 6 since you haven't been black. What's your plan?
Right.
And, it's the stupidest shit in the world. And it's because they can't argue. Charles Payne, Lawrence Jones, Harris Faulkner, these are brilliant people. Charles Payne can change your whole life in one conversation if you pay attention, but he's not black because he's on Fox Business. Fuck you. Kiss my ass. Come get it.
No, listen, I listen, Thomas Sowell, you know what I mean? They every year they'll do 100 most interesting black people or something. Thomas Sowell never make that list ever. I do.
No, I'm not either.
I do, and you too. I love the notion that you cease being black when you disagree with any of their kooky progressive thoughts, which is interesting. But here's a question to you that I do think more and more often now. When you hear Biden, saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, and saying stuff like, black entrepreneurs are as smart as white entrepreneurs, they just can't get attorneys or accountants, or when he's talking about extra knee room and service charges on a commercial airline, he's like, they charge you the money, but you don't know it till you get the receipt. And this disproportionately affects poor people and black and brown people, which is like, oh, you have your own category. And you're being treated like service dogs at this point, and it should be fucking. It's embarrassing. Like, I would go nuts if someone was saying to me, he can't get an ID, so how's he going to vote? Black and brown, COVID affects the black and the brown. Whatever they say, it's demeaning and it's insulting. And why? It's cheap. But why don't more black men step up and go, shut up, this is demeaning. I'm not a pet. I'm a human being. I have free will.
I think honestly, the biggest thing is, and I can't speak for everybody, but when I was not involved in entertainment, no one said it ever directly to me, to my face, which I would imagine is probably more often than not, those are blanket statements said on TV.
Yes.
So if you say it to the average brother to his face, it might not go the way you think it is. I also think the other side is like they're just so disenfranchised of the whole thing of politics. They just don't give a fuck enough to care what someone says about you because they're very specific. Again, they only attack individuals, and they always think of us as a group like we're special needs. I always say there's two kinds of racism. And in my neighborhood, I would rather have a guy who wanted to belong to the Klan, is completely separate, but he's honest about who he is as a man. He doesn't like blacks. Okay, awesome. I know you and I can have an understanding. We're not going to exchange lawnmowers. We're not going to go to lunch. I don't like you. You don't like me. That's fine. We know where we stand. You take care of yours. I take care of mine. I don't have an issue with that guy. I have an issue with the guy who, like, every time he sees me, has to tell me he recognizes my blackness and that he's going to help me in any way he can to get to where I need to go. And you get there and they want to help you and like, oh man, I can help you learn how to do this and I can show you how to do this. I already know those things. I don't need any help. I'm a grown-ass man. That's that reverse racism that when they put somebody like a Jean-Pierre in House Speaker, all you hear about, she's the first and we did it. Not the best. Ironically, she probably ended up being the worst. But everyone will high five and like, look what we did. As if I was her, I would be offended by that. I'm not here because I bust my ass and turned in a resume and went through hell to get. I'm here because I checked 2 boxes and it looks good. I would be offended by that. If Gutfeld said, listen, the reason why you're here is we needed a black guy.
Right.
They'd still be looking for him somewhere in the office that stuff, and I quit. I would not keep a job for that because integrity means something. But this whole, the whole mindset of I think they just don't care. Black men in general, we are blamed for everything by the left. We're the toxic ones. We're the ones who work out too much. We don't take care of our families. But here's the thing: you're even the design of the help, right? The help there are all these programs for young families, black families, families of color, and I guess poor white families. They don't need help, but everyone who's poor usually needs help to get out. But it's supposed to be temporary. But the way it's designed is, if let's say I was a 16-year-old, I'll give myself a little credit. I'm 18 years old, black. I got a girlfriend, and we have a child together. And I'm trying to go to school, and I'm working at McDonald's. I don't make enough money. So she goes, we need to get help to get housing for our child and ourselves. So she goes down and fills out the paperwork. The first thing that social worker is going to tell her is he can't be here. So they'll get her a house for the baby or an apartment so they can move in. But if dad moves in, they lose the house. They get kicked out. So what does dad have to do? 18, works at McDonald's, trying to go to school, has a baby and his fiance or girlfriend or whatever. Now he's got to get a second job to be able to contribute to their bills and their needs. Because he has to get his own household. So he ends up sleeping on the couch somewhere or renting somewhere. And then pretty soon he doesn't have the funds to help her. Then she blames him, and then the family breaks up. Now he doesn't get to see his kid. He can't even visit past 10 o'clock with his child. And that is a left program to help families. It's not. So the black man has never really been an ally. They just need us at vote time because they count on us not paying enough attention or giving a shit. So when they say black vote, Mexican vote, all that, whatever there is, they're trying to talk to the group as not people. Like they put us all in buses to register us to go vote for Biden. I get text messages all the time from, hey, let's get black people out and vote. Let's do it. We got to do this. And I write, I'm a registered Republican, black Republican. Cool. Thanks for your service. Thanks for your time, and they hang up and they go away. There's no interest. They don't want to get me registered. It's not about getting people out to vote. They just hope that we don't give a shit enough because, again, they think our values are caught up in. They're counting on the stereotypes. All I care about is gold chain, watching the NBA and the NFL, being in the clubs and running the street. That's what black men do. That's what, and now we know what alpha men do. So they don't really care for us. We don't matter. And all I have to say is, well, the other side's racist. You should vote against racism. We're trying to help you. But they're using the racist stereotypes to tell us who we are. It blows my mind. How no one else sees this, I feel like a bad guy in everything. Right? I feel like I have to give the plot away. Like, how do you not see this? But I don't vote. I vote based on my household. If I fell on hard times and I was teaching again for $43,000 a year, chances are I'm going to probably vote for things that help give me a break, or I can get some programs to help my kids get into college or something like that. That's probably what would happen. But I'm not in that situation. I voted for Obama. I voted for President Trump. You don't like it, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
it's that simple. And
yeah, listen, that's what sort of happened with me in COVID. I just went, here's what I know, and here's what I'm going to say. And then everyone kept saying to me, why are you saying that? And I said, because I know it. And they'd go, well, don't say it. And I'd go, why not? And then certain people quietly would go, oh, you're so brave for saying that. And I go, I don't have a choice. It's just what I know, and it's what I say. That's my job. And then when that ends, when I stop saying what I know because I'm worried about the implications of what I say, then it's over. There's no more, I'll go back to swinging a hammer and you go back to teaching 8th graders.
I'll teach 8th graders and bounce club tonight, and I'll sleep well.
Tyrus, let me give you a plug. Maintaining with Tyrus. It's on OutKick, and I just love watching you grow and your progress. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean like I love your thoughts, and I love the evolution of you, and I love seeing you stepping out, and doing your own thing, and I just I love it.
I love being part of the brotherhood of smart assery. And you're a reigning president, so you keep it. You've been doing it for a long time. I was teasing Dr. Drew about because now Dr. Drew's cool again.
Yeah,
and I was teasing him because the pandemic was horrible for him.
Yeah,
he was just getting murdered, and he started doing. He was doing his own podcast, right?
Right.
I was a guest on that show every other week during the pandemic. Because every time he asked me, I was like, yeah, I got you, Doc. Because he was having such a hard time getting people to come on his show. And it was just like, this is ridiculous. And I was doing every show with him. I had psychics telling me I had dead people in my house that weren't paying rent. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a dead uncle who's mad at me, behind me and stuff. My wife ends up on the show. I'm having dinner while we're doing the show. And I was like, Doc, I got you. I'm not leaving. And now he's all of a sudden he's back now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just saying to him, and for him, it's got to be tough because you know how he felt about Fauci.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like seeing him now, I'm like, aren't you angry? I'd be angry. This is when the phone calls with the fuck yous would be happening. This is where the shows with the picture of all the people who abandoned me and left. Like I'd be going on, and all the experts that had me canceled. Mm-hmm. I'd be looking for them for an interview, but it's just, and I hate it. I'm like, listen, Doc, you were persecuted for being a doctor, for caring. You were a man your age was willing to roll up his sleeves and get back into hospitals and help, and they told him no.
Yeah,
because he was with the program. I'm like, why are you not pissed? I'm pissed talking about it. Like when you should literally. We should give you a mic on the show and for an hour let you rant, and just because that's what needs to happen. The people that did this, especially the pandemic, that ruined careers, there needs to be some form of atonement or accounting to where, hey, you need to come out. We need to hear from Fauci. Listen, I was listening to the think tank of what we thought was best, not the science. And I think people, at least for me, I won't like it, but at least I'll be like, I'm not crazy. Because I'm literally making, like we knew what science is because we had biology and zoology and science analogies in college and class and stuff. So we're looking how things spread, and like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. No,
a Wuhan lab breaking. I mean, like, we were all going, are we nuts? Oh, don't say anything. And then we'd see somebody say something and then wish them away to the cornfield. Like, you just never got seen again.
Yeah.
Pandemic canceling was worse than Me Too canceling. Like, pandemic canceling, they're going, and now we need the doctors. And now we need the first responders.
Right.
They're all gone. Police officers. Like, that's one of the things that's rough right now. So
I don't. Well, who'd want to be a cop in Los Angeles or New York or Ferguson? You know, like who the fuck would do? It's like
for what?
What I'm saying is all the downstream stuff they never think about or work into the equation. Like, you declare war on cops. Good luck with the next recruiting class, you fucking idiots. Tyrus, I got a roll. I know you do too as well. I'll be watching out for you on Gutfeld and the 5 periodically and wherever else you pop up, and also maintaining with Tyrus on OutKick as well. Always great. And Twitter, by the way, @PlanetTyrus as well. It's always great getting caught up with you, and anything you need, just tell me.
Thanks, man. It's a true honor, man. I appreciate it.
Love me some Tyrus. All right, West Palm Beach coming up tomorrow and Saturday, and Chicago, that's coming up April 19th and 20th, doing 4 shows at the Den Theater. So check that out. Shows in between Vegas and Bakersfield, Salt Lake
City, too, May 3rd and 4th at Wise Guys.
All right. So, till next time, Adam Carolla, Chris Max Bannon, Tyrus saying mahalo.